Hey there, kids. Welcome back. This is still Module 2, the module that wouldn't end. Module 2, Lesson 21. This is the video for 21. I also have the objective on here for 22 because as we get into these higher number lessons with division, same skill, it's really the same thing. We are trying to divide. The numbers get bigger and bigger. The dividends start out with 2 digits but increase to 4 digits over the course of a few lessons. We have 2-digit divisors, and we're going to estimate, and then we're going to divide, and we're going to check. And that is our strategy. And if you can do all these things over and over and over, you really get the hang of it pretty quick. Also, I have to recommend you need to work on your multiplication facts. You just have to know those facts. Work on flashcards. Do anything. I know there are multiplication games, but you have to know your facts. Backwards and forwards, because when you do the division, it's really just finding the missing factor. So let's take a look at some of the sample problems and talk about the strategies today. In the teacher's edition, they have a few warm-up problems, like this one, say 256 divided by 47. We're still doing the what if I had, or I wish I had something like 50 instead of 47. And if I had a 50, I could count by 5 to something close to 256. Well, that's pretty easy because 5 times 5 is 25. So, and if I have my number that is lower, so I round up, then I won't have an overestimate in my quotient. So this number here, the one that we were rounding to get this answer here, the quotient, is to put into the quotient space on this answer bar. Now it does matter. This is all place value position. You have to line them up appropriately. So we're actually doing the division and multiplication and the whole division family. So then you have to multiply. You get your 235 and you subtract. The compare step. Super, super critical. You have to end up with less. Now, whatever you multiplied and got here, you have to have only a little bit left over. It has to be less than whatever your divisor is. So this number 21 just has to be less than 47, and it is, so that's fine. And we can stop dividing there and just put our remainder up here on the line. The check step is to do the 47, the outside numbers, remember. 47 times 5, you got your 235. Look, it's the same thing right here. It's like we already did it. And then you add your remainder and compare what you get. And so this process is what we're doing in lessons 21 and 22 and pretty much the rest of your life. Have fun with it. But there are a couple other things I want to point out, so don't get too excited about leaving just yet. One of the things you need to know is that it is okay to erase and start over if you have something wrong up here. So for example, if I had 369 divided by 46 and my rounded answer, like I wish I had, well, 36 is a multiple of 4. It's not really a multiple of 5, so if you round up to 50, you have to change that to maybe 35. But see, when you're rounding up and rounding down, you're getting a little further away from the original problem. So what happens is you may end up a little bit off with your estimated quotient. But I'm telling you, it's okay if you are off. So for this practice problem, initially, I had written very lightly a 7 because I thought, oh, well, let's just try a 7 up here. And 7 times 6 is 42, carry the 4. 7 times 4 is 28, plus the 4 was 32. But what happens is that when you subtract, you have a really big remainder, and it was more than 46. And so when I did the compare, you have to have this being greater, not the remainder. So when the remainder is bigger, you erase and start over. Erase this too. Make this bigger. Bump it up. Then when you do your multiplication problem, you want to have more sets of 46 used so that you only have a little bit left. And we did that with 8, and we got a remainder of 1, and you do the check and you move on. And at the last one, again, look at all the arrows. It looks crazy. But if you have 17 and you round up to 20, and you round this also up, you want to watch out for having a double-digit quotient. Now in lesson 21, you may have a double-digit quotient, which means you're not just going to place your answer in that last space in the ones place. You may actually be able to start in the tens place. For example, 59 is divisible by 70, and if I had 20, I might say 20, 40, 60. There's my 3. And I could start multiplying. 3 times 7 is 21. Carry the 2. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5. I actually get pretty close with that. 9 minus 1 is 8, and that's my leftover before I bring down. Comparing 8 to 17, and then I can proceed. You do have to bring down and use up the rest of the 590 because we were really just working with the 59 and the 51, but those were in the tens and hundreds places. We still have this ones column to deal with. So then you have 80 ones that you have to divide by 17. This is your whole new problem. And then you do your division. As you can see, I chose 4, but we'll do more in the book, and I'll show you how to do these steps. Multiply, subtract, put your remainder up, and do the check. Okay? So those are the notes. I hope they're helpful. Again, pause the video, go back if you need to write those down. So our task today, divide these 2 and 3 digit dividends and check, and the first one's done for us. So also, I'm not a fan of this horizontal work, not a fan. They do it a lot, and I get it, like that's where you're going with algebra, but when you do the standard algorithm in 5th grade, there's a lot of carrying over, and look, they don't have the 3. 7 times 5 is 35, so here's the 5, but where's the 3? It disappears, so I'm going to be doing it vertically so that you guys can see how everything carries over and you won't forget to add it. So let's start out with 67 on the outside and 148 on the inside. Remember, this is what's being divided. This is the whole that's being shared evenly in groups of 67. So when you look at the digits inside the bracket, we're going to be starting from this side because now we have some pretty big numbers on the inside. But can I divide 1 by 67? No. Can I divide 14 by 67? No. So I'm still going to be placing my digit in the quotient in the ones place for this problem. So 148, I wish I had something easier than 67. I wish I had something like 70, because then I could count by 7s and get close to 14. So I could guess 2, because I'm pretty close to that. And let's multiply and see what happens. 2 times 7 is 14. Carry the 1. 2 times 6 is 12 plus 1 is 13. Remember, you want to get as close as you can to this number without going over. So subtract and find out how close you are. That's a crazy looking 1, but it is 14 left over, and that is less than 67, less than. So we can proceed with our problem, our 14. Check by taking 67 times 2, multiply 7 times 2 to get 14. 2 times 6 is 12 plus 1 is 13. Now, again, check yourself. You already did 2 times 67 here, and now we're doing it here to check. But the thing is, we're going to add that last little bit. I know some students were forgetting to do that step, but do not forget, we have to get all the way back to the complete dividend. 4 plus 4 is 8, 3 plus 1 is 4, and 1 comes down. There it is. My 148. When you get this, give yourself a star or a happy face or some other fabulous bunch of balloons or something that makes you happy. You have to get back to that dividend. All right, let's do another one. Fly through these. 73 on the outside, 591 on the inside. Again, comparing. I have 73, so can't use just 5. Cannot use 59 either. That's a big number, but it's not big enough to fit a 73 in. So I'm going to include the 1 and call it 591. Now, I wish I had a 70 because it would be easier to skip count by 7. And I want to get close to 59. So if I skip count by 7, I could get to 7 or 8, but 9 is too much because 9 times 7 is 63. So you want to get as close as you can. Let's try 8. 8 times 3, 24. 56, 57, 58. When I add it all up, Do your subtraction. You can't take 4 from 1, but that's okay. Go next door, take 1 and give 10. And 11 minus 4. And then 8 minus 8. You can also look at the difference between 84 and 91 and just do the whole subtraction there without regrouping that, whatever makes you happy. Put your remainder, which is nice and tiny when compared with 73. Put your remainder up and do the check. 73 times 8. We just did that. I expect to get 584. 8 times 3, 24. 56, 57, 58. 584 plus 7. And you get 11. Carry the 1. 8 and 1 is 9. And the 5. Compare that to what we had. Bravo. And move on. Okay? 94 on the outside. 759 on the inside. And again, I'm getting some really big numbers in the inside, but I still can't fit 94 into 75, so I still have to go all the way to this ones place. Now, if I had 100 and 800, I could guess an 8. So I can try here. And remember, if ever you guess the wrong thing, you just erase it and start over. So let's see how this works out. 8 times 4, 32. 8 times 9, 72, 73, 74, 75. Look how close we got that time. Really nice. 9 minus 2 is 7. And so then we have our remainder of 7. So we got very close. Do the check. 94 times 8. 8 times 4, 32. And 72 plus 3, 75. Do that quick compare here just to see how you're doing. Looking good. Add the remainder. And 759 it is. And bravo. Hooray. So I hope you guys are understanding this. Again, it's just the procedures over and over and over. So we have 2 more at the top of the next. 74 on the outside, 653 on the inside. Now this one is getting even closer still, but I have to go all the way over to the ones place. 65 is not divisible by 74, although it is quite large. So since it is so big, I wonder if I could guess an 8 or a 9. We could try, well, let's just see what happens if we try a 9. 7 times 9 is 63, so will I make it underneath or will I go over? 9 times 4 is 36, and then 63, 64, 65, 66. Can you see that would be too big? So when you have something like that, you need to pull back by 1. So instead of 9, we're going to use the 8. And now we know that that was just a little too big. So we can go ahead and multiply and write darker because we know it's going to work out this time. 8 times 4 is 32, 56, 57, 58, 59. And subtract, and you can also, again, find the difference between 59 and 65, which is 6, or you can do the standard algorithm, take 1, give 10, and then do the subtraction 15 minus 9 to get 6. Either way, do this comparison. 61 has to be less than 74, okay? Because if you had more, then you would need to make that other set. Remainder 61, do your check. 74 times 8. 8 times 4, 32, 56 plus 3, 59. Add your 61 remainder, which is really big, but that's okay. 15 and 653. Do your checking. Bravo. Pat yourself on the back. Try to do these without me. Seriously. 257. And then just check with the video after it's done and see how you did. 36 on the outside, 25 is our first 2 digits. It's still too small, so I won't put anything here. I'm going to go all the way over to the ones place. So if I had, again, you have to think and reason. It's pretty big in here. If I had 40, so 4 times 6 would get me 24 or 240. So I could try that. 6 times 6 is 36, but that's pretty low. 18, 19, 20, 21. That's a little too low. Okay, so I'm going to bump it up to a 7, and we'll see how that does. 7 times 6 is 42. And then I have 21 plus 4 is 25. That gets us nice and close. 7 minus 2 is 5, and everything else would be 0. And then you can do your check. 36 times 7. 6 times 7, 42. Then 21, 25. Look again. Do your addition for your remainder. Don't forget about that one. 257. Bravo. Yay. All right, so I hope you're getting the hang of it. Now is when we really have to start thinking. Okay, but that's all right. This is good strategy. This will come up again on a test somewhere. Generate and solve at least, you can do like 5 if you want, at least one more division problem with the same quotient, 8, and remainder, 11, as the one below. Explain your thought process. This is really what everybody wants to know. What are you thinking about when you do this? So let's talk through it. When you do division and you end up with a quotient and a remainder, remember that the remainder is a very important part of your problem. Okay, this is what's left over after you've made a full set of whatever your divisor is. So if I want to get an 8 up here and I want to have the same remainder, then whatever this is, it has to be more than 11 because it can't be less than. If I had 10 or 5 or 2 and I end up with a remainder of 11, then I would have a problem. So it has to be larger than 11. So that's my first thing that I'm going to write down, okay? The divisor you choose, and you can choose anything, must be, you can do greater than 11, or you can write it out, larger than 11, okay? Because the 11 is the remainder, okay? So we have to choose a divisor. Now you can choose any number greater than 11. Choose anything, any number greater than 11. Okay? And then you're going to do that check process. Use the check. So if I take my chosen number, you can do 25 or 50 or 100 or whatever. You can do anything because whatever you multiply is going to give you a pretty big dividend. So let's just choose something easy like 25. So 25, then I do the check, multiplied by 8. So use the check, multiply by 8. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 2 is 16 plus 4 is 20. And then add the remainder. When you get that, that's what would go here. And my chosen number was 25. So I still have the same quotient of 8, and I still have the same remainder of 11. And you can work it all out. 8 times 5 is 40, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then look, my remainder is 11. It works out perfectly because of the way that I used the check to choose any number greater than 11. You can choose a different one. You could choose 35 or 50 or 100 or 88 or whatever you want. And then when you multiply by 8 and add 11, that's what's going to stay the same. Okay? And you will end up with a correct answer. All right, let's do another one. Number 3, my lord, number 3. Assume that Mrs. Jiang's car travels 14 miles on each gallon of gas. It's not very good, by the way. If she travels to visit her niece, who lives 133 miles away, how many gallons of gas will Mrs. Jiang need to make the round trip? Round trip. That's going and returning from Mrs. Jiang's house and the car, boop, boop, all the way to her niece Nice niece. Niece. That's how you want to think of it. And at her house. So it's 133 miles away, which means it's 133 miles to return. That is an important step because those two together will give you the 266 miles round trip, which is actually what we have to divide with when we're using our 14 gallons of gas per gallon, or 14 miles per gallon. Blech. So take your 266 and divide by 14 so that we can figure out how many gallons. Now, here's finally where it's working out. 26 is divisible by 14. So don't put anything here yet. We're not there yet. We're at 26. 26 is divisible by 14. Almost 2 times. But if I had 2 times 14, I would get 28. And that's too big. So I have to use 1. Put the 1 over the 6 and the 10's place. Now, 1 times 14 is 14. Okay, we know that, and now we're going to have a really big remainder, but that's okay. 6 minus 4 is 2, 2 minus 1 is 1, I get 12 as my remainder. When I have a big remainder, look out, because when I bring something down, the next number I put up is always big. It's always big, so watch out. I'm going to guess a large number, because I'm almost at 140, which is 10 times 14. So instead of using 10, which you cannot use because it has double digits, I'm going to pull back and use a 9. Let's see where that gets us. 9 times 4 is 36. I like it so far. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 3 is 12. And that works out very nicely. Yay, happy. So 19 would be the gallons of gas needed for the round trip. And that is to get you all the way there and back. So make sure you use 266, not 133. So we have to think about those. Okay, almost done. We got 4A and B. Lewis brings 79 pencils to school. It must be August. After he gives each of his 15 classmates in the small class an equal number of pencils, he will give any leftover pencils to his teacher. Hooray! So how many pencils will Lewis's teacher receive? Well, let's find out. Now, the leftovers are going to the teacher. The leftovers. So you have to think about, what are we doing here? So let's do some labeling. He's got 79 pencils. And he's got 15 classmates. And so if I was to divide 79 by 15, if I had 15 times 5 is 60. I could probably get pretty close. 6. Let's try. Oh, no, 15 times 4 is 60. So 5 is 75. Sorry, I'm doing this in my head. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 2 is 7. There's my 75. So 5 15s make 75. Do your subtraction and find out that what has been shared. So if this is pencils for his classmates, then this is remaining, and that is what we're being asked to find. So he will give any leftover pencils to his teacher. These go to the teacher. The teacher, yay, gets 4 pencils. And we will take any pencils we can get. And then we have part B. So let's find out what's happening in part B. If Lewis decides instead to take an equal share of the pencils along with his classmates, will his teacher receive more pencils or fewer pencils? And show your thinking. That means show your work. So what's changing about this problem? Oh, by the way, click subscribe. Come back again. I would love to have you watch some videos and get some help. So what's happening here? Well, what's happening is that he is then going to be included with the classmate number. Where was that? That was here. That's going to change your divisor. Will it change the number of pencils that he has? No. The pencils are staying the same. Nobody got any extra pencils. So it's still 79, but now it's divided by 16. So let's see if that's going to change. Will it change? Can we still get 5 in there? Well, we know that 5 times 15 is 75. So I'm pretty sure that's not going to work. Let's go down by 1. 6 times 4, 24. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. And then subtract, and I get 15 left over. Look at that, R15. So what now? These are still the pencils in all. These are now the people who are going to share evenly. And woohoo! This is the teacher. And look at that, the teacher will get more pencils if Lewis decides to share. So more is your answer, and that's very exciting for the teacher. The teacher will get 15 if he changes this number just by 1. So pretty cool. I hope you like this lesson, and click subscribe, come back again. That is the end. I always look on the next page. I'm like, let there not be another problem. So anyway, that's the end of today's lesson, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.